The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. Their hulls were dark and smooth, reflecting nothing. 73 vessels, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. They hung there like silent judges waiting. Ambassador Hana stood at the observation window of the orbital station, watching them. She was 54 years old, with gray streaks in her black hair and lines around her eyes from 2 decades of dealing with aliens. She had seen many things in her career, but nothing like this. "They're asking for a meeting," said Captain Sunho, walking up beside her. He was younger, maybe 35, with sharp eyes and a military bearing. "The Galactic Coalition wants to present something to us. They call it a peace treaty." Hana turned to look at him. "Peace? We're not at war. Not yet," Sunho replied quietly. The meeting room was cold. Hana sat at the long table with Admiral Jiho on her right and Counselor Do-hyun on her left. Admiral Jiho was an old warrior, nearly 60, with scars on his hands from battles in the colony wars. Do-hyun was a politician, always worried about votes and public opinion. The alien delegation entered. There were 12 of them, representing different species from across the galaxy. The leader was tall and thin with blue skin and 4 arms. Its voice came through a translator device, flat and emotionless. "We are the Galactic Coalition. We represent 47 civilized species. We have come to offer humanity a place in the galactic community." Hana nodded politely. "We appreciate your visit. Humanity has always sought friendship with other species." The blue alien's eyes narrowed. "Friendship is not what we offer. We offer survival." Admiral Jiho tensed beside her, but Hana raised a hand slightly to calm him. The alien continued. "For 30 years, humanity has expanded across the stars. You have claimed systems that were promised to other species. You have refused to acknowledge territorial boundaries. You have built weapons and fleets without permission. This cannot continue. Permission?" Hana kept her voice level. "The systems we colonized were empty. No one lived there." "They were empty because we designated them as neutral zones," the alien replied. "You ignored all protocols. You ignored all warnings. Now you must face consequences." Another alien stepped forward, this one covered in thick armor plates. Its voice was deeper, rougher. "The Coalition has debated the human question for 5 years. Some wanted immediate military action. Others argued for patience. We have chosen mercy. We offer you this treaty." A holographic document appeared above the table. Hana began reading, and with each line her heart grew colder. Humanity must abandon 80% of its colonies within 6 months. The remaining colonies would be supervised by Coalition observers. Earth's military must reduce its fleet to no more than 100 ships. No new weapons could be developed without Coalition approval. Human ships would not be allowed to travel beyond designated zones. Any violation would result in immediate military intervention. But the worst part was at the end. A guidance council of alien supervisors would be established on Earth itself, with the power to overrule human governments on matters of galactic importance. "This isn't a peace treaty," Admiral Jiho growled. "This is surrender. This is survival," the blue alien corrected. "You are one species, young, inexperienced. We are 47 species with thousands of years of civilization. You cannot win a war against us. Accept the treaty and your species will continue to exist. Refuse and you will be eliminated." Counselor Do-hyun spoke for the first time, his voice shaking slightly. "How long do we have to decide?" 72 hours, the armored alien said. "We will remain in orbit. When the time expires, you will give us your answer. Choose wisely," the aliens left. The room fell into heavy silence. "We can't accept this," Jiho said immediately. "They're asking us to become slaves. They're asking us to stay alive," Do-hyun argued. "Do you know how many ships they have? How many soldiers? We've been in space for 300 years. They've been here for thousands. This isn't a fight we can win." Hana said nothing. She was reading the treaty again, going through every line carefully. "Ambassador," Sunho prompted. "There's something wrong here," she said slowly. "This treaty is too harsh. If they really wanted peace, they would negotiate. This is an ultimatum designed to be rejected. Why would they do that?" Do-hyun asked. Admiral Jiho understood immediately. "Because they want an excuse to attack us. They've already decided to eliminate humanity. This treaty is just for show so they can tell the galaxy that we were unreasonable." Hana nodded. "That's what I think too. Look at these terms. No species with any pride could accept them. They know we'll refuse. Then what do we do?" Do-hyun's face was pale. "We prepare for war. Jiho said firmly. That's suicide. Maybe, the Admiral replied. But it's better than dying on our knees. Over the next 3 days, Hana barely slept. She met with military commanders, scientists, colony representatives, and government leaders. She read intelligence reports about the coalition, studying their strengths and weaknesses. She watched news broadcasts showing people in the streets, some demanding acceptance of the treaty, others calling for defiance. On the second day, a young journalist named Yuna came to see her. The woman was maybe 25, nervous but determined. Ambassador, I need to show you something, Yuna said. She held up a data drive. I have a source inside the coalition delegation. They gave me this. Hana took the drive and plugged it into a secure terminal. What she saw made her blood run cold. The files showed the coalition's real plan. The peace treaty was just the first step. Over the next 20 years, they would slowly reduce humanity's territory, military, and independence. They would control human education, breeding, and culture. And at the end, when humanity was weak and scattered, they would declare humans a dangerous genetic anomaly and exterminate them completely. It had all been done before. The files showed 3 other species that had been eliminated in the past century, all following the same pattern. They never intended for us to survive, Hana whispered. No, Yuna agreed. The treaty is a lie. Either we refuse and they attack us now, or we accept and they destroy us slowly. Either way, they plan to wipe us out. Hana looked up at the young woman. Can you verify this information? I already did. It's real. The question is, what are you going to do about it? On the third day, Hana stood before Earth's United Congress. The chamber was enormous, with representatives from every nation and colony. Billions of people across human space were watching. The alien delegation sat in a special section, waiting for humanity's answer. Hana walked to the central podium. She looked tired, but her eyes were clear and hard. Members of Congress, people of Earth, and the colonies, I have reviewed the coalition's treaty carefully. I have consulted with experts, military leaders, and civilians. I have considered every option. She paused, looking at the alien delegates. And I have discovered the truth. With a gesture, she activated the main display. Yuna's files appeared, showing the coalition's secret plans for humanity's destruction. This treaty is not an offer of peace. It is a death sentence. The coalition has already decided that humanity must be eliminated. They offer us a choice between dying quickly or dying slowly, but they offer no choice to live free. The chamber erupted in noise. The alien delegates stood up, their translators creating a cacophony of protests. Hana's voice cut through the chaos. You wanted our answer? You have it. She took the treaty document and tore it in half. We are humanity. We bow to no one. You threaten us with extinction? Then come and try. But I promise you this, you will learn what it means to fight a species that would rather die free than live in chains. The chamber exploded with sound. Some cheered, some wept. Some sat in stunned silence. Admiral Jiho stood and saluted her. The alien delegates left the chamber, their message clear. War was coming. Hana remained at the podium watching them go. She had just condemned humanity to the most dangerous fight in its history, but she had also given them something precious, the choice to fight for their own future. Outside the orbital station, the coalition fleet began to move into battle formation. Humanity's answer had been received. The coalition ships opened fire 6 hours after Hana tore up the treaty. No warning, no final ultimatum, just death raining down from the sky. 3 human colonies were hit simultaneously. New Sol on the planet Hadrian, the mining stations around Kepler 442, the agricultural settlements of New Earth in the Perseus Arm. Each attack was meant to break humanity's spirit, to show them the price of defiance. Instead, it made them angry. Admiral Jiho stood in the Fleet Command Center, watching the tactical displays. Red marks showed where coalition ships were attacking. Blue marks showed human vessels moving to intercept. There weren't enough blue marks. How many ships do they have in the first wave? He asked. 240, Captain Sunho replied. We have 87 in position to respond. Then we use what we have. Jiho's voice was calm, but his hands were clenched. Send the orders. All ships engage. No retreats. No surrenders, Sunho hesitated. Sir, if we commit everything now, we show them that humanity doesn't back down. Jiho turned to look at him. Every species in the galaxy is watching. If we run now, we're finished. Send the orders. At New Sol, the defense was desperate. The colony had 20,000 people and only 4 warships for protection. The coalition sent 30 ships against them. Colonel Minji commanded the defense from the surface. She was a veteran of the border conflicts, a woman who had fought aliens hand-to-hand in the tunnels of distant worlds. Now she watched from the command bunker as enemy fire tore through the orbital defenses. All military personnel to battle stations, she ordered. Civilians to the underground shelters. Activate all planetary cannons. Colonel, the cannons won't penetrate their shields, her second officer said. I know, but they'll make noise. They'll make the bastards work for it. One of her lieutenants looked scared. Are we going to die here? Minji smiled grimly. Probably, but we're going to make them remember this day. The battle for New Sol lasted 9 hours. The 4 human warships fought like cornered animals, using every trick they knew. They hid in the planet's shadow. They used debris as cover. They rammed enemy ships when their weapons ran dry. When the last human ship exploded, the coalition fleet moved in to bombard the surface. That's when they learned their first lesson about fighting humans. The civilians hadn't fled to the shelters. They had armed themselves. Every person over the age of 15 had a weapon. They had turned the entire colony into a fortress, with guns hidden in every building, traps in every street. The coalition sent landing forces to claim the colony. They expected an easy occupation. Instead, they found hell. Minji led the defense personally. She was 52 years old, but she fought like a woman half her age. When the aliens entered the city, they found themselves in a maze of death. Humans attacked from windows, from rooftops, from underground tunnels. Children threw explosives. Old men sniped from hidden positions. Women fought hand-to-hand in the streets. Why don't they surrender? The coalition commander demanded. We've won. The colony is surrounded. His tactical officer had no answer. The humans kept fighting. They fought when they were wounded. They fought when they were outnumbered 10-1. They fought until they couldn't fight anymore, and then they detonated explosives, taking aliens with them. It took 3 days for the coalition to secure New Sol. They lost 800 soldiers doing it. The entire human population of 20,000 was dead. But the aliens had learned something terrifying. Humans didn't know how to surrender. While New Sol fought its last battle, Engineer Kyung was working in a secret facility on Earth. She was 38 years old, one of humanity's best weapons designers. She hadn't slept in 4 days. The problem is their shields, she told Admiral Jiho over the video link. Our weapons can't penetrate them fast enough. They absorb kinetic energy too efficiently. So what's the solution? Jiho asked. We stop trying to penetrate them. We go around them. She pulled up a design on the screen. I call it a ghost torpedo. It doesn't have a warhead. It's just a drive system and a transmitter. When it gets close to an enemy ship, it sends out a signal that mimics their shield frequency. Their own shields think the torpedo is friendly and let it through. And then what? Then a second torpedo follows, this one with a real warhead. The shields let it through too. Kyung smiled tiredly. We use their technology against them. How soon can you make them? First batch will be ready in 6 days. If I don't sleep? Don't sleep, Jiho said. We need them now. Captain Sunho led the first major human offensive. His task force had 20 ships, small and fast. The coalition had sent a supply convoy through the Orion sector, thinking it was safe territory. They were wrong. Sunho's ships hit the convoy like wolves attacking sheep. They came out of nowhere, weapons blazing. The convoy's escorts tried to respond, but the human ships were too quick, too unpredictable. Target the supply ships first, Sunho ordered. Ignore the escorts, his crew looked confused. Sir, the escorts are the threat. The escorts are soldiers. The supplies are their lifeline. Kill the supplies and the soldiers starve. That's how we win this war. The human ships tore through the convoy in 12 minutes. 8 supply vessels destroyed. Fuel, food, ammunition, medical supplies all gone. The escorts were left floating in space, undamaged but useless. Sunho broadcast a message to them. Go home, tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them humanity is coming. Similar attacks happened across human space. Small groups of human ships struck at coalition supply lines, communication relays, and mining operations. They avoided direct battles with large enemy fleets. Instead, they bit and bled and disappeared. They fight like insects, one coalition admiral complained. No honor, no formations. Just chaos, then we adapt, another replied. We change our tactics, but adapting was difficult. The coalition had fought wars the same way for 1,000 years. They used massive fleets, overwhelming firepower, and traditional strategies. Humans threw out all the rules. They used tricks, ambushes, and psychological warfare. Commander Sora led the first infiltration mission. She was 40 years old, a veteran of special operations. Her team of 12 humans had trained for this mission for 3 weeks. They approached a coalition command station in a captured alien ship. The station's sensors detected the ship, but saw the correct identification codes. The station let them dock. Remember, Sora told her team as they prepared to enter, we're not here to hold the station. We're here to make them afraid. The team moved through the station like ghosts. They planted explosives at critical points. They accessed computer systems and downloaded intelligence data. They disabled life support to 3 sections, and they left messages painted on the walls in alien blood. Humanity remembers. We do not forgive. You started this. When they detonated the explosives and escaped, the command station lost 40% of its functionality. But more importantly, the aliens found 63 of their crew members dead, killed in ways designed to maximize fear. The coalition investigated the attack. Their psychologists were disturbed by what they found. The humans didn't just kill, one reported. They terrorized. This was psychological warfare. They want us to be afraid of what? They're losing. We've destroyed 3 of their colonies. Yes, but look at the cost. New Sol alone killed 800 of our soldiers. The supply convoy losses are mounting. And now they've infiltrated one of our command stations. We're not fighting an army. We're fighting an entire species that has decided death is preferable to surrender. Back on Earth, Una was broadcasting news of every human victory. She had become the voice of the resistance, showing the galaxy that humanity was fighting back. The coalition thought we would break, she said into the camera. They thought we would beg for mercy. They were wrong. Every day our soldiers push them back. Every day we learn their weaknesses. And every day they learn to fear us. The broadcasts were propaganda, of course. Humanity was still losing. More colonies fell. More ships were destroyed. But the propaganda worked. Across human space, people stayed angry instead of becoming afraid. They volunteered for military service. They worked in factories building weapons. They refused to consider surrender. In the command center, Admiral Jiho studied the casualty reports. The numbers were bad, very bad. But there was one number that mattered more. How many coalition ships have we destroyed? He asked. 47 confirmed, Sunho replied. Another 23 damaged. Jiho nodded slowly. In 1 month, we've destroyed or damaged 70 coalition ships. They've never lost that many in a century of warfare. But sir, we've lost more, I don't care. Jiho's voice was hard. They came here expecting an easy victory. They expected us to surrender or die quickly. Instead, we're making them bleed. Every ship they lose, every soldier that dies, every supply convoy we destroy, it all adds up. We're teaching them that fighting humanity has a price. He turned to look at the star map. And the lesson has just begun. Across the galaxy, the coalition leadership was beginning to understand. They had awakened something terrible. Something that didn't fight by their rules. Something that would rather burn the galaxy than accept defeat. They had awakened humanity's rage. And they were starting to realize they might have made a terrible mistake. 6 months into the war, Engineer Kyung's ghost torpedoes changed everything. The first test happened in the Sirius system. A coalition battle group of 12 ships was patrolling near a human mining colony. They detected 3 human ships approaching and moved to intercept. Standard tactics, standard formation. Then the torpedoes hit. The coalition shields detected the ghost torpedoes and let them pass through, thinking they were friendly. 1 second later, the real torpedoes followed. They struck bare hull at point-blank range. 4 coalition ships exploded in the first volley. The remaining 8 scattered in panic, their perfect formation destroyed. The human ships pressed the attack, launching more torpedoes. By the time the battle ended, 11 of the 12 coalition ships were destroyed. The last one fled with massive damage. Captain Sunho watched the battle data afterward, a grim smile on his face. Send this to every ship in the fleet. The coalition's shields are no longer an advantage. Within 2 weeks, every human ship was equipped with ghost torpedoes. The results were devastating. Coalition ships that had seemed invincible were suddenly vulnerable. Their losses mounted rapidly. How are they doing this? A coalition admiral demanded. Our shields are the most advanced in the galaxy. His chief engineer looked nervous. They're not penetrating the shields, sir. They're tricking them. The torpedoes mimic our own signal frequencies, then change the frequencies. We've tried. They adapt within hours. It's like they're learning our systems in real time. The admiral felt a chill. Who are these humans? On Earth, Admiral Jiho was asking a different question. How do we take the offensive? He stood in the war room with his senior staff. The walls displayed tactical maps showing the entire war zone. Red marked coalition territory. Blue marked human space. The red was much larger, but the blue was growing. Commander Sora spoke first. My teams have identified 14 key coalition facilities. Command stations, supply depots, and communication hubs. If we hit them all simultaneously, we could cripple their coordination for weeks. How many teams would you need? Jiho asked. 20. About 300 people total. You have them. What else? General Hyunwoo stepped forward. He was a big man, nearly 2 meters tall, with a voice like gravel. He commanded humanity's ground forces. We need to start taking planets, not just destroying ships. Show the coalition we can hold territory. Which planets? Jiho asked. Hyunwoo pointed to a system on the map. Viridian 3, it's a coalition colony world with a population of 50 million. Light defenses. They think it's too far from human space to be threatened. You want to invade a planet with 50 million aliens on it. Counselor Dohyun looked shocked. He had been attending these meetings more often lately, watching humanity transform into a war machine. I want to liberate it, Hyunwoo corrected. Intelligence says the population hates the coalition. They were conquered 200 years ago and forced to join. If we free them, they might join us instead. Jiho considered. How many soldiers would you need? 10,000 for the initial assault. Another 40,000 for occupation. Do it, Jiho decided. Sora, coordinate with Hyunwoo. Your teams hit the coalition facilities the same day he lands on Viridian 3. We'll create maximum chaos. Ambassador Hana watched the planning from her office. She had become something different over the past 6 months. No longer just a diplomat, she was now humanity's face to the galaxy. She gave speeches. She negotiated with potential allies. She threatened enemies. The weight of billions of lives rested on her shoulders. Yuna visited her often, still broadcasting news of the war. The young journalist had become famous across human space. The coalition is starting to fracture, Yuna reported. 3 species have requested secret peace talks. They want to withdraw from the war. Which species? Hana asked. Yuna named them. Hana nodded slowly. They're the weakest members of the coalition. Not the most powerful, but it's a start. Should we meet with them? Yes, but make them come to us. Make them travel through human space to get here. I want them to see our factories, our ships, our soldiers. I want them to understand that we're not going to lose this war. The invasion of Viridian 3 began at dawn. Human dropships cut through the atmosphere like falling stars. Coalition defenders fired at them, but the ships were small and fast. Most made it through. General Hyunwoo was on the first ship to land. He stepped out into the alien city with his rifle ready. His soldiers spread out quickly, securing the landing zone. The coalition defenders fought hard, but they were outnumbered and surprised. Hyunwoo's forces had trained for urban warfare. They moved through the city in small teams, clearing buildings one by one. But the biggest surprise came from the local population. The aliens of Viridian 3 didn't hide in their homes. They came out into the streets. Some brought food and water for the human soldiers. Others pointed out where coalition troops were hiding. A few even picked up weapons and fought alongside the humans. Why are they helping us? One of Hyunwoo's lieutenants asked. Because the coalition treats them like slaves, Hyunwoo replied. We're offering them something better. Freedom. The battle for the capital city took 3 days. When it was over, the coalition flag came down and a new flag went up. Not the human flag, but a flag representing a free Viridian 3. Hyunwoo broadcast a message to the planet. We did not come here to conquer you. We came to free you from the coalition's tyranny. You are not our subjects. You are our allies. Together we will build a galaxy where all species are free. The speech was propaganda, carefully written by Hana's team. But it was also partly true. Humanity needed allies. They couldn't fight the entire galaxy alone. While Hyunwoo was taking Viridian 3, Commander Sora's team struck across coalition space. 20 teams, 14 targets, all hit within a 6-hour window. Sora herself led the attack on the Coalition's central communication hub at Regulus Station. Her team of 15 humans infiltrated the station disguised as maintenance workers. They moved through the facility, planting explosives and computer viruses. The Coalition security finally detected them when they were 90% done. Alarms blared. Blast doors slammed shut. Armed guards rushed toward their position. "Finish the mission," Sora ordered. Her team worked frantically while she held the corridor with 3 other soldiers. They fired at the approaching guards, buying precious seconds. The last explosive was placed. The computer virus was uploaded. The mission was complete. "Detonate and evacuate," Sora called. Her team ran for the escape ship while the station began to tear itself apart. Explosions rippled through the structure. Communication arrays collapsed. Power systems failed. All 14 targets were destroyed within the 6-hour window. The Coalition's ability to coordinate their forces was crippled. For 2 weeks, their ships and bases couldn't communicate effectively. They were blind and confused. Humanity pressed the advantage. More attacks, more raids, more victories. Dr. Nari had been working on a different kind of weapon. She was a psychologist, not an engineer. Her weapon wasn't made of metal or explosives. It was made of fear. "Every species has things they're afraid of," she explained to Admiral Jiho. "We've been studying Coalition psychology. We know what terrifies them." She showed him her project. It was a series of broadcasts designed to be played on captured Coalition equipment. The broadcasts showed human soldiers in battle, but they were edited to make humans seem more monstrous, faster, stronger, immortal. "We're going to make them think we're demons," Nari said. "We're going to plant the idea in their minds that humans can't be killed, can't be stopped. We'll use their own fears against them." "Will it work?" Jiho asked. "It already is. We've been testing it on the prisoners we've taken. Most of them refuse to fight now. They'd rather surrender than face humans in battle." The psychological warfare campaign began. Every Coalition soldier captured was shown the broadcasts. Every Coalition world near human space received the transmissions. And slowly fear spread through the enemy ranks. Stories began circulating. Humans who kept fighting even after being shot. Humans who killed aliens with their bare hands. Humans who laughed as they died knowing more would come. Some of the stories were true. Many were exaggerated. A few were complete lies. But they all had the same effect. Coalition soldiers became afraid. 8 months into the war, the first Coalition species officially surrendered. They were a small species, only 3 planets, but it was a symbolic victory. They announced they were withdrawing from the Coalition and requesting peace with humanity. Hana met with their representatives personally. "Why did you surrender?" she asked. The alien diplomat looked exhausted. "Because we finally understood. Humanity will never stop. You'll fight until you win or until you're extinct, and you're too strong to be extinct, so you'll win. We're surrendering now before you destroy us completely." Hana felt something cold in her chest. Was this what humanity had become? So terrifying that entire species surrendered without even being attacked? But she couldn't show doubt. "Not now. We accept your surrender. Your people will be treated fairly. We're not the Coalition. We don't enslave conquered species. Then what do you want from us? Help us win this war. Join us. Together we'll end the Coalition's tyranny." The alien considered. "You're asking us to fight our former allies? I'm asking you to fight for your freedom." 1 year into the war, humanity controlled 30% of what used to be Coalition space. The impossible was happening. The young species was defeating the ancient alliance. Admiral Jiho stood before a massive holographic display showing the entire galaxy. Blue markers showed human territory. Green showed allied species. Red showed the Coalition. Gray showed neutral zones. The map was transforming color by color, system by system. 12 more species have requested to join us, Captain Sunho reported. They're offering their fleets and resources. Accept them all, Jiho said. We need every ship we can get. The Coalition still outnumbers us 3-1. But sir, we're winning battles, not the war. Jiho pointed to the core of Coalition space. They still control 200 worlds. They still have production facilities we can't match. If we give them time to regroup, they'll overwhelm us with numbers. He turned to his staff. We need to end this war soon, before they adapt to our tactics. Ambassador Hana was having similar thoughts. She stood in her office talking with representatives from the allied species. There were now 19 alien species fighting alongside humanity. Some joined because they hated the coalition. Others joined because they feared humanity more than they feared the coalition. The coalition is preparing a counterattack, one alien diplomat reported. They're gathering their remaining fleets at their core worlds. Intelligence suggests they're planning one massive assault on Earth itself. Hannah felt her stomach tighten. How large? At least 500 ships. Maybe more. They're planning to destroy humanity's homeworld and break our will to fight. Another alien spoke up. They believe that if they kill Earth, the human colonies will surrender. They don't understand that you're not fighting for a planet. You're fighting for an idea. Hannah smiled grimly. They're about to learn that lesson. How long until they attack? 2 months. Maybe 3. Then we have 2 months to strike first. She called an emergency meeting with Admiral Jiho and the other military leaders. General Hyunwoo attended via video link from the front lines. Commander Sora was there in person, fresh from another successful raid. Engineer Kyung looked exhausted as always, but her eyes were alert. The coalition is coming for Earth, Hannah announced. We need to hit them first. We need something that will break them completely. Jiho nodded. I've been developing a plan. Operation Thunderfall. We attack 50 coalition worlds simultaneously. Not just military targets, everything, infrastructure, government, economy. We cripple them so badly they can't launch their attack on Earth. 50 worlds? Counselor Dohyun looked shocked. Do we have enough ships? If our allies help, yes. We'll need 300 ships minimum. Each strike force hits a different target. In and out. Maximum damage. Minimum losses. General Hyunwoo spoke from the screen. My ground forces can support 20 of those strikes. We'll need to take and hold key positions to prevent them from rebuilding. And I have something else, Engineer Kyung said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. She activated a display showing a weapon design. I call it the Worldbreaker Protocol. It's a series of seismic charges that, when deployed in a specific pattern around a planet, can trigger massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. It won't destroy a planet, but it will make it uninhabitable for years. The room fell silent. You want to use this on populated worlds? Dohyun's voice was horrified. I want the threat, Kyung replied. If the coalition knows we have this weapon, they might surrender rather than see their core worlds destroyed. And if they don't surrender? Hannah asked. Kyung met her eyes. Then we use it. Because if we don't win this war completely, they'll come back. And next time, they'll be prepared for us. Hannah looked around the room. She saw the faces of people who had been transformed by war. Jiho, the warrior who had learned to think like a strategist. Sunho, the idealist who had learned to be ruthless. Hyunwoo, the soldier who had learned to be a conqueror. Kyung, the scientist who had learned to build weapons of mass destruction. And herself, the diplomat who had learned that peace sometimes required total war. Do it, she said. Prepare Operation Thunderfall and build the Worldbreaker. But we offer them one last chance to surrender first. She composed a message to be broadcast across coalition space. It was simple and direct. To the leaders of the Galactic Coalition, you came to humanity offering a choice between slavery and death. We chose neither. We chose war. For 1 year we have fought you. We have destroyed your fleets. We have taken your worlds. We have turned your allies against you. Now we offer you the same choice you gave us. Surrender or be destroyed. You have 30 days to decide. The coalition's response came within hours. It was equally simple. Humanity will be eliminated. We do not negotiate with animals. Admiral Jiho read the message and smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. They've made their choice. Begin Operation Thunderfall. The operation launched 3 weeks later. 300 human and allied ships divided into 50 strike forces jumped into coalition space simultaneously. Each force had a specific target. Each force knew the mission: total destruction. Captain Sunho led one of the strike forces. His target was a coalition industrial world that produced weapons and ammunition. The planet had minimal defenses. The coalition never expected an attack this deep in their territory. Sunho's ships appeared in orbit without warning. Target all factories and warehouses, he ordered. No civilian areas unless they shoot at us first. The attack was brutal and efficient. Within 3 hours, every major industrial facility on the planet was destroyed. The coalition defenders tried to fight back, but they were overwhelmed. When Sunho's ships left, the planet's industrial capacity was gone for years. Similar attacks happened across coalition space. Command centers destroyed. Supply depots obliterated. Government facilities reduced to rubble. 50 worlds struck in one day. The coalition reeled from the assault. Their coordination collapsed. Their supply lines broke. Their member species began to panic. How did they do this? A coalition leader demanded. How did they coordinate 50 simultaneous attacks across our entire territory? They learned from us, an advisor replied bitterly. We taught them strategy and tactics. Now they're using it against us. But Operation Thunderfall was just the beginning. General Hyunwoo's ground forces followed up, landing on 20 of the 50 attacked worlds. They didn't try to hold entire planets. Instead, they took strategic positions, spaceports, power plants, communication hubs. They dug in and defended, forcing the coalition to waste resources trying to dislodge them. On the world of Arcturus Prime, Hyunwoo personally led the assault on the planet's central power facility. The coalition defenders were dug in deep with heavy fortifications and automated defenses. This is going to cost us, his second-in-command warned. We could lose half our force taking that facility. Then we lose half, Hyunwoo replied. But we take it. That power plant supplies 6 nearby star systems. Without it, the coalition loses everything in this sector. The assault was bloody. Human soldiers fought their way through 3 layers of defenses. They used explosives, heavy weapons, and sheer determination. Hyunwoo was at the front, leading by example. When he was wounded by shrapnel, he kept fighting. It took 14 hours to take the facility. 2,000 human soldiers died. But when it was over, the power plant was offline and 6 coalition systems went dark. Hyunwoo looked at the casualty list and felt something heavy in his chest. 2,000 dead. 2,000 families that would receive notification. 2,000 graves that would need to be dug. But he couldn't afford to think about that now. The war wasn't over. Commander Sora and her Special Forces teams conducted the most daring raid of the operation. They infiltrated the Coalition's Central Intelligence Facility on the heavily defended world of Koresh Station. The facility contained all of the Coalition's strategic data, military plans, and intelligence networks. Sora's team of 50 humans approached the planet in a captured Coalition ship. They docked without incident, their false identification codes working perfectly. Then they moved through the facility like ghosts. But this time they weren't there to destroy. They were there to steal. For 6 hours, Sora's teams downloaded every piece of data they could find. Military deployments, political secrets, economic information, personal communications of coalition leaders, everything. They were discovered when they were 95% complete. Coalition security forces swarmed the facility. Sora's teams fought a running battle through the corridors, buying time for the data download to finish. 15 of her 50 soldiers died holding the escape route. But they got the data out. The information they stole changed everything. It showed the Coalition's remaining strength, their hidden weaknesses, their secret alliances, and their backup plans. It showed which species were loyal and which were looking for a way out. Most importantly, it showed the locations of the Coalition's last major fleet gathering. Admiral Jiho studied the intelligence with cold eyes. They're massing everything they have. 800 ships, the largest fleet ever assembled. They're planning to attack our core worlds in one overwhelming assault. When? Anna asked. 6 weeks. They're waiting for the last stragglers to arrive. Then we hit them first, Hana decided. 3 years after Ambassador Hana tore up the peace treaty, the war ended, not with a glorious final battle, but with a whimper of surrender. The Coalition's leadership gathered in what remained of their central command station. The station had been rebuilt twice after human attacks. Now it floated in space, scarred and damaged, a symbol of the Coalition's defeat. The message they sent to Earth was simple. We surrender. Unconditionally. Admiral Jiho received the message in the Fleet Command Center. He had been preparing for the final assault on the Coalition's core worlds. 300 ships were ready. The worldbreaker devices were loaded. Humanity was ready to end it once and for all. Now they didn't have to. Is it a trick? Captain Sunho asked. No, Jiho replied. They're finished. They have no ships left. No supplies, no allies. They waited too long to surrender, and now they have nothing to bargain with. He sent the message to Ambassador Hana. She was on Earth, in the same building where she had torn up the treaty 3 years ago. The building had been hit by Coalition missiles during an attack on Earth's orbital stations. Repairs were still ongoing. Hana read the surrender message 3 times. She felt nothing. No joy, no relief, just exhaustion. Contact the coalition leadership, she told her aide. Tell them I'll meet with them on neutral ground. We'll discuss terms. What terms, Ambassador? They surrendered unconditionally. Hana looked out the window at the city below. Parts of it were still rubble from the war. She could see construction crews working day and night to rebuild. She could see memorial walls with names of the dead, millions of names. The terms that will ensure this never happens again, she said quietly. The meeting took place on a space station in neutral territory. Hana arrived with Admiral Jiho and a security detachment. The coalition sent their remaining leaders, 12 aliens representing the core species. They looked broken, defeated, afraid. Hana sat across from them and began. 3 years ago, you came to Earth with a treaty. You told us to surrender or die. We chose neither. Now you surrender to us, and you'll learn that humanity is not the coalition. She laid out the terms. They were harsh but not genocidal. The coalition would be dissolved completely. Every member species would become independent. Those who wished to join humanity's new alliance could do so. Those who refused would be left alone, but they would lose their military forces. They would be disarmed. All coalition leaders who had authorized attacks on civilian targets would face trial. War crimes would be prosecuted. Former coalition worlds would pay reparations to humanity and to the species they had oppressed. The payments would continue for 20 years. Humanity would establish military bases in former coalition space, not to conquer, but to maintain order and prevent the coalition from reforming. These terms are designed to ensure peace, Hana said, not to destroy you. We could do that if we wanted. We have the weapons. We have the will. But we choose mercy instead. One of the coalition leaders, an elderly alien with gray skin, spoke. Why? We tried to exterminate you. We killed millions of your people. Why show us mercy? Hana considered her answer carefully. Because if we become like you, if we become conquerors and tyrants, then we've lost something important. We've lost what makes us human. We fought for freedom. We won't take that freedom from others, even our enemies. It was partially true, but there were practical reasons too. Humanity couldn't occupy hundreds of worlds. They couldn't police an entire galaxy. They needed the alien species to govern themselves, just under human supervision. The coalition leaders accepted the terms. They had no choice, but some of them looked grateful. They had expected extermination. Instead, they got a chance to rebuild. The formal surrender ceremony happened 1 week later. It was broadcast across the galaxy. Billions watched as the coalition leaders signed the treaty on Earth, in the same chamber where Hana had torn up their treaty 3 years before. Hana gave a speech. She looked older now, her hair completely gray, her face lined with stress, but her voice was strong. 3 years ago, the coalition demanded we surrender our freedom. Today, they surrender to us. But we do not seek to enslave them as they sought to enslave us. We seek a galaxy where all species can live free, where might does not make right, where young species are not crushed by ancient empires. She paused, looking at the cameras. We call this new order the Terran Ascendancy. Not because humanity rules alone, but because we lead. We lead in protecting freedom. We lead in enforcing justice. We lead in building a better future. The speech was met with mixed reactions across the galaxy. Some species celebrated, others worried. All of them recognized that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity was now the dominant power, and everyone knew it. General Hyunwoo oversaw the occupation of former coalition worlds. It was a massive undertaking. His soldiers had to maintain order on dozens of planets while local governments reformed. There were protests. There were attacks. Some species accepted human oversight. Others resented it. On Arcturus Prime, the planet where he had led the assault on the power plant, locals tried to rebuild. Hyunwoo's forces helped them. They brought supplies. They provided security. They worked alongside the aliens. Why are you helping us? A local leader asked him. We fought against you. Because the war is over, Hyunwoo replied. You're not our enemies anymore. You're people trying to survive just like us. But not all occupations went smoothly. On some worlds, resistance groups formed. They attacked human patrols. They sabotaged reconstruction efforts. They wanted humanity gone. Hyunwoo dealt with them firmly but not cruelly. Resistance leaders were arrested and tried. Violent attacks were met with force, but civilians were treated fairly. Slowly, the resistance movement shrank. "How long will we need to stay here?" one of his officers asked. "Years," Hyunwoo replied. "Maybe decades. We broke the coalition. Now we have to make sure something better replaces it." Commander Sora continued her work, but it changed. Instead of infiltration and sabotage, she now ran intelligence operations. She monitored former coalition species for signs of rearmament. She tracked resistance groups. She hunted war criminals who tried to escape justice. She found many of them, coalition leaders who had ordered massacres, military commanders who had killed prisoners, scientists who had developed biological weapons. She brought them back to Earth for trial. The trials were public. The evidence was overwhelming. Some defendants were executed. Others received life sentences. A few were pardoned for cooperating with investigators. "Is this justice or revenge?" Counselor Do-hyun asked Hana one day. "Both," Hana admitted, "and it's necessary. The galaxy needs to see that war crimes have consequences. Otherwise, this will all happen again." Ambassador Hana became the first chancellor of the Terran Ascendancy. She didn't want the position, but there was no one else. She was the face of humanity's victory. She was the iron diplomat who had defied the galaxy. Her first act was to establish the Ascendancy Council. It had representatives from humanity and from all allied species. 31 species in total. Not all of them joined willingly. Some were pressured. Some were coerced. But all of them had a voice. "This council will govern the Ascendancy," Hana announced. "Decisions will be made by vote. Humanity has more votes because we're the largest member, but we don't have absolute control. This is a partnership, not an empire." It was partially true. Humanity did have the most votes. Humanity did control the military. Humanity could override the council in emergencies. But it was still better than the coalition had been. Admiral Jiho retired 6 months after the war ended. He was 63 years old and exhausted. The war had aged him. His hands shook sometimes. He had nightmares about the battles. At his retirement ceremony, Hana gave him a medal. "You saved humanity," she said. "No," Jiho replied. "Humanity saved itself. I just pointed them in the right direction." He went home to a small colony world and tried to forget the war. But he couldn't. He had sent millions of people to die. He had ordered attacks that killed billions of aliens. The weight of those decisions never left him. Captain Sunho took over as fleet admiral. He was younger, more energetic. He modernized the fleet and trained the next generation of officers. Under his command, the Terran Ascendancy Navy became the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Engineer Kyung dismantled the world-breaker devices. "We don't need them anymore," she said. "The war is over," but she kept the plans, just in case. Dr. Nari's psychological warfare programs ended, but the effects lingered. Across the galaxy, humans had a reputation: dangerous, fierce, unstoppable. Some species feared them, others admired them. All of them respected them. Yuna continued broadcasting news, but now she reported on reconstruction instead of battles. She showed human soldiers helping rebuild alien cities. She showed diplomatic meetings where humans and aliens worked together. She showed the new galaxy being born, but she also reported on the problems, the resistance movements, the protests against human oversight, the species that refused to join the Ascendancy. She showed both sides because that was honest journalism. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked Hana during an interview. Hana was silent for a long time. "I don't know," she finally said. "We survived. We freed oppressed species. We ended the coalition's tyranny. But we also killed billions.